Hello everyone and welcome to Chess 5. Today I'm going to show you the game between Dubov Daniil versus Sergey Karjakin. And this game is from the 2020 Russian Championship finals. This, as we know, Russian players are very strong, so this is going to be a very interesting game. So Dubov Daniil with the white pieces and Sergey Karjakin with the black pieces. Let's see what happened in the game. So Dubov Daniil with the white pieces started with 1 e4 and Sergey Karjakin replied with e5, knight f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, bishop to c5, all normal stuff, c3, preparing to play d4 and taking a nice center. So knight to f6, black continues development. Here d4, here ed, and here white plays b4. Not capturing the pawn on d4 and playing b4, attacking the bishop on c5, so the bishop on c5 have to move from the c5 square. So bishop goes to the b6 and here e5, still not capturing the pawn on d4 and pushing up the pawn on e5. Now the pawn on e5 is hitting the knight on f6, so the knight on f6 have to move from the f6 square. So black played knight to e4 and threatening to capture the pawn on c3. So Dubov simply played bishop g5, attacking the knight on e4 and saying, okay, you can capture my c3 pawn. I'm not afraid. So Karjakin doesn't have any choice. He have to capture the c3 pawn. So knight into c3, d into c3, and Dubov played bishop to g5, attacking the queen on d8. So black plays a normal reply, knight to e7. So here knight is pinned, queen cannot move. So white castles. Here h6, attacking the bishop and saying please go back because I want to develop my knight and want to castle. But Dubov played simply bishop h4, still making a pin. Here Karjakin simply played castle. At the place of castle he should have played g5, because we can say like this pin is very bad. It is very bad for black. So in this position black should have played g5, attacking up the bishop on h4. So here white have to play bishop g3, and here black can simply capture up the bishop on d5. Here queen into d5, here d6, e into d6, and here castle, rook a c1, c into d6, rook into c3, and we can see that here black is having a very fine position. Actually black is slightly better. But after bishop to h4, black decided to castle, not playing g5. So here Dubov played rook to e1, simply developing his piece, and perhaps there could be some ideas with e6. So black played here queen to e8 because black wants to move this knight from the e7 square, because here black cannot move his knight because the queen is hanging on d8. So black played queen to e8, white played bishop to b3 because knight is preparing to capture up the bishop on d5. So bishop to b3, and here a5, trying to open up the position. So white played here bishop to f6, a very fantastic move by Dubov Daniil. Here Dubov is saying, okay, you can grab my bishop and I will grab your pawn, and the knight is pinned. You can't move your knight and I'm going to capture up the knight, and we can see the black king is very weak and it's going to be checkmated, and it's winning position, total winning position for white. That's why he cannot capture. So after bishop to f6, here black decided to play a4, attacking the bishop on b3. So here Dubov played bishop to c4, keeping this diagonal so that the f7 pawn will not move in the future. So after bishop to c4, here black played knight to g6 because he have to develop his pieces. So here white played queen to d3, and okay, what's happening in the game? Black played d5, but many of you were thinking like, why black cannot capture up the bishop on f3, because now there's a pin, because this still it's a blunder, because after g into f6 there comes a very powerful move. This is also a winning move, but a complete checkmate in 6 moves is simply queen into g6 check. The pawn is pinned, the pawn cannot capture the queen, so king h8, queen into h6 check, king g8, here e into f6, and it's going to be a checkmate. It's a 4 checkmate in 3 move, because after bishop into f2 check, king into f2, queen to e2 check, rook into e2, here c here. Okay, it's a 4 checkmate now, so black cannot play it's sorry, wrong arrow. Here queen to g7, and it's the checkmate. It's game over. But after queen to d3, so here black decided to play d5, saying okay, I'm preparing to capture up your bishop on c4, and we can see white can simply capture up the pawn with either the queen or the bishop. But the main purpose of giving up the pawn is black wants to complete his development by developing his bishop. So black is just giving up the pawn like this. So here Dubov, at the place of capturing with the queen or the bishop, he decided to end pass in and playing e into d6, attacking the queen on e8. So here Karjakin played bishop to e6, still developing the bishop on e6 and saying okay, do you want to trade? So here Dubov played queen into g6, a very fantastic move by Dubov Daniil. It's an amazing move. It's too amazing. Like, Dubov is just giving up the queen. Like, many pieces are hanging actually. Black can either take the bishop, black can either take, okay, black, but this is also hanging. The queen is also hanging. Everything is hanging. So let's see what happened in the game. In the game, Karjakin played f into g6, and this is the right move obviously. So here Dubov played rook into e6, attacking the queen, so the queen have to move from the e8 square. So Karjakin played queen to f7. At the place of playing queen to f7, black should have played queen to c6. The idea is now if white moves his rook, black will capture the bishop on c4. So the best move for white in this position is to play rook e7 check. So black captures, queen into c4, here rook into g7 check, king h8, here rook into c7 check with the bishop. So black simply captured up the bishop, rook into f6, here rook into c4, rook into d6, and rook into c3. And this is slightly better position for white, as white is just a pawn up. But in the game, what happened is, after rook into e6, black decided to play queen to f7, because okay, there could be some deadly attacks. So black said okay, I'm going to simply play queen f7. So here Dubov played here first bishop into c3, not like just moving up the rook to e4, saying okay, I'm going to capture up your queen, not like that. He first captured the pawn on c3, like saying these two bishops are more powerful than your queen on f7, and I'm going to do a bit deadly attack. So here Karjakin with the black pieces played king to h8, here rook to e4, attacking the queen on f7. So Karjakin played queen to f5, here rook to e7, saying I'm going to capture up your g7 pawn. So here Karjakin played rook to g8, because there are no it's a kind of force move, because black cannot stop rook into g7, so we have to play rook g8. But a better move can be played in this position by playing bishop into f2 check. Here white cannot capture the bishop because it's completely winning position for black by playing queen to c2 check, and after king moves simply queen into c3, and the main bishop of white is now dead, and it's completely winning position for black. But obviously white is smart and he will not capture the bishop on f2. He will simply play king h1, and it's still he have to play this, and it's winning position for white. But better black could give it a try, at least a try. But after rook to e7, Karjakin played rook to g8, saying okay, you can capture up my rook, and I'm going to capture up your strong bishop on c4. So Dubov said, okay, I'm still going to capture up your rook on g8. Here rook into g8, and here d into c7. So white pawn is just one step away for being a queen. So black played here queen to c2, attacking the bishop on c3. So Dubov played bishop to e5, and now the point is the f2 pawn is hanging. So with what piece Karjakin is going to capture up the f2 pawn? It doesn't mind. So Karjakin played the best move by playing bishop into f2 check, king to h1, bishop to b6 back, putting some pressure on the c7 pawn. Here h3, making a square for the king to rush away so that there could be no back rank mates in the future. So Karjakin played king to h7, rook to e1, a3, like some ideas by capturing up the pawn on a2. So here white played king to h2, here g5, knight to d4, saying okay, you can capture up my knight, I'm going to capture up your bishop, and going to play bishop to b7, protecting up my c7 pawn, and going to play rook e8, making a queen, and going to win the game. So here black can't capture the knight on d4. So here actually he can, because after bishop into there comes h5, the best move for black, but it doesn't matter, it's still winning. As I said, the idea is very simple: rook b6, sorry, bishop b6, rook e8, and black cannot stop c8 queen, and it's completely winning position for white. So this is what happens in the game. Sorry. Yep. So after knight to d4, black decided to play queen to c4, and white played knight to f5, saying okay, now white is doing a very deadly attack on the g7 pawn, so black have to do something. So black played first queen into b4, grabbing up the pawn and also attacking the rook on e1. So white plays rook to c1, here king to g6, here rook into g7 check, here king into f5. Here black cannot capture the rook with the rook because there's simply c8 queen, and it's winning position for white. So black played king into f5, here rook into g8, here bishop into c7 because there is a queen being made on the c8. So bishop into c7, which is forced, bishop into c7, queen to b2, here rook to c5 check, here rook to king to e4, here rook to d8, and in this position, after move 38, black resigned the game, and Dubov Daniil with the white pieces won the game. And it was a very fantastic game by Dubov Daniil. It's just simply amazing. He just sacrificed his queen. As you can say, it was a very amazing game. I liked it pretty much. As you can see, there was a queen into g6, which was too amazing, very much. So if you like this game, then please like to my video, and if you are new to my channel, then please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.